Being videoed for my protection and yours. What's your name, officer? Please identify yourself.
McLeod from the Clewiston Police Department.
And you, sir?
Officer Garza, Clewiston Police Department.
And what am I being pulled over for?
Well, two reasons. One, you made a turn back there without a turn signal.
The encounter begins with the citizen immediately stating that he is recording the interaction for protection on both sides. He asks the officers to identify themselves and explain why he has been stopped. The officers claim there were two reasons: an alleged failure to signal during a turn and calls from stores reporting that he was attempting to sell items. The citizen questions what crime he is suspected of committing. When asked for identification, he pushes back, asking whether the officers actually have reasonable, articulable suspicion that he committed, was committing, or was about to commit a crime.
We got a call about you trying to sell something at a store, and at two different stores at that, not just one. So a suspicious activity call. And we had to make out with you to see who you are and what you're doing.
Got you. Got you.
So can I have your license, please?
So what crime is that?
Well, there wasn't a crime committed because we don't know if the items are stolen or not.
Do you have suspicion that I committed a crime? Reasonable, articulable suspicion, either one of you, that I committed a crime, was about to commit a crime,
somebody
was in the process of committing a crime.
The conversation quickly turns into a debate over reasonable suspicion. The citizen repeatedly asks the officers to explain what specific crime they believe has occurred, while the officers argue that they need to determine whether the items involved could be stolen. The citizen maintains that suspicion alone does not automatically establish a crime and challenges the legality of demanding his identification. As the tension increases, he insists that there must be a lawful basis for the request. Instead of simply complying, he continues questioning the officers, forcing the encounter into a deeper discussion about constitutional protections and police authority.
Absolutely not. Except that you abide by the law.
I am abiding by the
No,
law.
you're not. You're asking me for my ID illegally.
He conducted a traffic stop.
That's not how that
illegal.
works.
That is how
No crime has been committed. There's no reasonable, articulable suspicion. Excuse me.
When you commit a traffic
suspicion?
infraction,
There's no reasonable, articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed. That a crime has been committed.
It was going to be committed. How do we know the stuff you have is not stolen? We got no way to prove it. No way.
Not how that works.
As the disagreement continues, the citizen refuses to accept the officer's explanation that they can simply investigate because someone reported suspicious activity. He asks for a supervisor and makes it clear that he believes the officers are exceeding their authority. The officers respond that they can ask people to step out when they reasonably believe suspicious circumstances exist. The citizen fires back that being suspicious is not the same thing as having reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime. When the officers mention multiple calls about someone allegedly selling items, he immediately points out the critical distinction: an allegation does not automatically prove that a crime occurred.
Please get your supervisor here.
Sure.
Because that's not how this works. Well, then she should know better. She should know better. And so should you, Mr. Garza.
We are allowed to step out with people who reasonably believe.
Yeah, dumbass people who don't know the law.
That doesn't have to be dumb or smart.
If I have not been suspected of committing a crime with reasonable, articulable suspicion.
Two people have called saying you in this vehicle are trying to sell them items that they don't know are stolen, we don't know are stolen.
Then there's no crime.
The confrontation continues with both sides repeating their positions. The officers want confirmation that the items are not stolen, while the citizen argues that he has already answered their questions and sees no lawful reason to surrender his identification. He points toward his paperwork and emphasizes that there is nothing illegal about what he is doing. Eventually, the exchange shifts toward police policy and procedure. The citizen tells Officer Garza that officers cannot simply demand identification from people without a legitimate legal basis. He then raises the Constitution and reminds the officer that police officers swear an oath to uphold the law and protect constitutional rights.
I already told you that.
I didn't ask. So how have you told me?
Because you said that you got a phone call and I asked you if that was illegal and you said no.
Called over the radio that's you.
Here. There's my paperwork right there. Nothing illegal.
Was that so hard?
No. But you can't just get people's ID for nothing, Mr. Garza.
It's not for nothing.
It is. It is.
Look,
There's policy and procedure, and there's
The citizen then challenges the idea that ordinary behavior can automatically become suspicious. He gives an example of someone simply standing or sitting without doing anything illegal and questions whether that alone could justify police intervention. He then turns the situation around, explaining that he himself has received information about officers allegedly violating constitutional rights. The officer responds by suggesting that there is suspicion involving the citizen, but the citizen immediately challenges that reasoning. He asks the officer to let him finish speaking so there can be an actual understanding of the legal issue rather than another argument based purely on assumptions.
That you swore an oath to, my friend.
Hold on. If somebody's standing here, and they're just standing here with no kids, and they're a grown person just sitting there, that's a suspicious person.
You know, I just got a call about some officers that we had to watch out for here that were breaking the law and the people's constitutional rights.
I can show you that's not us.
You sure it's not you?
Not me. But look,
I have suspicion to believe it's you.
you gonna let me finish what I'm saying so you have an understanding?
How you doing, boss?
There's a supervisor right there if you want to speak.
How you doing, supervisor? We're just getting an understanding of constitutional law here. You know, no big deal.
Near the end of this portion, the citizen notices a supervisor nearby and directly addresses him. Rather than escalating the situation further, he frames the encounter as an attempt to understand constitutional law and clarify what the officers are legally permitted to do. The supervisor now becomes an important part of the conversation as the citizen seeks a higher-ranking officer to address the disagreement. At this point, the central issue remains clear. The citizen believes the officers have not established reasonable, articulable suspicion, while police maintain that the reported suspicious activity justified their investigation. The encounter ends this segment with that constitutional dispute still unresolved.
Over because he got a phone call that, you know, we were selling stuff. I asked him if that's illegal. He said, no, that's not illegal, right? That's where we were at in the conversation. He asked for my ID, so I asked him again, what did we do that was illegal? For me to give you my ID, did we have any reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed? He said no. We got a phone call. 2 people said that items were trying to be sold. That's not a crime. Not here, not in Texas, not in, anywhere. It's not a crime.
The citizen now explains the encounter directly to the supervisor, focusing on the reason he was originally stopped. He says the officer admitted that the stop began because of a phone call claiming they were selling items. When he asked whether selling those items was illegal, the officer reportedly said no. The citizen then repeatedly asked what crime had been committed that would legally require him to provide identification. According to him, the officer admitted there was no reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime and relied only on reports from 2 people. The citizen insists that receiving such a call does not itself establish criminal activity.
Is you were pulled over for a traffic offense.
That's not what I was pulled over for. Mr. Garza pulled me over. This woman pulled through here after. There was no illegal turn. That right there is a turnaround. You don't have to put your blinker on at that turnaround right there.
Tomato.
Right. So have you identified yourself, correct?
I told him who I was right there.
Perfect. All right.
It's not stolen stuff. I'm not trying to give him a hard time, but you guys can't just pull people over and say, oh, we got a phone call. Somebody said you were selling stuff. Let me see your ID. That's not how this works. I respect the law. You guys got to respect it too.
The supervisor appears to understand the situation differently, suggesting that the citizen was pulled over because of a traffic-related incident. The citizen immediately disputes that explanation, pointing toward the location and explaining that there was no illegal turn. He argues that the maneuver was simply a turnaround and claims a turn signal was not legally required for that movement. The discussion then shifts back to identification. The citizen says he already identified himself and emphasizes that the items were not stolen. He tells the officers that receiving a phone call about someone selling merchandise does not automatically give police unlimited authority to demand identification.
All right, hold on for there. Okay, look, my name is Sergeant Nieves, badge number 0464. All right?
You know your shit.
Clewiston Police Department, yes. Look, we got a call at the Ace Hardware parking lot. Person just wanted to remain anonymous, saying that, hey, somebody was trying to sell a stereo in the parking lot, and that's it. They didn't request contact, nothing along those lines, all right? Look, he conducted a traffic stop. He was just trying to identify you guys. Everything's good. That's all we're trying to do.
Key word, try to identify.
That's all. Just try.
But that's not how that works.
Look, we're here.
A sergeant now introduces himself and explains the call that brought officers to the location. According to him, an anonymous caller reported that someone was attempting to sell a stereo in the Ace Hardware parking lot. However, the caller apparently did not request direct contact or provide additional details. The sergeant maintains that the officer conducted a traffic stop and was simply attempting to identify the people involved. The citizen immediately focuses on the wording, pointing out that attempt to identify is not necessarily the same as having lawful grounds to compel identification. The disagreement therefore continues over whether police authority existed beyond simply asking questions.
We're trying to do, all right?
Your name again?
Sergeant Tito Nieves. All righty, sir.
Be safe. Thank you.
One, okay?
And we can sell here. It's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
Especially if I got my sales tax license, correct?
If you are a business conducting business within the city, you need a tax business receipt.
Got all that.
We don't have
Alrighty.
that knowledge.
Thank you. But you can't receive that knowledge illegally.
But we can
okay?
ask you. Just
Okay,
like
and I can
provided.
refuse.
Yes, you can, but we still need to figure out what you're doing somewhere. So until we figure that
You
out,
could try to figure it out.
Until we figure that out, you are deemed a suspicious person. Do you understand?
Yeah, but being a suspicious person is not somebody that has been deemed reasonable.
The conversation becomes calmer, but the legal disagreement remains. The citizen again confirms that selling merchandise is not inherently illegal, particularly if proper sales documentation and licensing requirements are involved. The officer explains that businesses operating within the city may need the appropriate tax or business receipt. The citizen accepts the explanation but argues that officers cannot obtain information through unlawful demands. The officer acknowledges that the citizen can refuse to answer, but says police still need to determine what he is doing. The situation is then described as a suspicious person and investigation, which immediately becomes another point of constitutional disagreement.
Suspicion of committing a crime, about to commit a crime, in the process of committing a crime, would give you the only viable and reason to ask for my ID. Period. There's no exceptions at all.
So the traffic stop means nothing.
That wasn't a traffic stop.
So you made.
You specifically told me, and you are being recorded in my truck too. You specifically told me when I asked you why I was being pulled over. You specifically stated that you got a phone call about suspicious activity.
I'm telling you,
when she pulled up afterwards, because she came from this way. Well, I'm teaching you.
The citizen strongly challenges the phrase suspicious person, arguing that suspicion alone is not enough to justify demanding his identification. He insists that there must be reasonable, articulable suspicion connecting him to a crime, whether he allegedly committed one, was preparing to commit one, or was currently committing one. He also returns to the original traffic stop explanation, pointing out that the officer himself allegedly described the phone call as the reason for the encounter. He emphasizes that the interaction is being recorded and carefully reconstructs what was said when he was initially stopped, arguing that the later explanation does not match the original one.
Learn if you don't listen.
What do you mean? How are you supposed to learn if you don't listen?
I already know what the fuck I'm doing.
That's the problem with closed-minded people.
That's why I already know what I'm doing.
Listen.
That's why he left. That's why you're going to leave. And that's why she left without getting my fucking ID. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm still conducting a traffic stop, so I do need your ID.
There's no traffic stop. For what? There's no legal traffic stop.
Turn, do you not have to signal which way you're going?
On that turnaround right there, you do not have to signal. Absolutely not, because it's not a left turn.
What is it?
I'm turning.
The exchange becomes increasingly tense as one officer tells the citizen that he needs to listen in order to learn. The citizen responds that he already understands what he is doing and suggests that the disagreement comes from people refusing to consider his legal argument. He points out that other officers have already left without obtaining his identification, which he views as evidence that the demand was unnecessary. However, the officer insists that he is still conducting a traffic stop and therefore needs the citizen's ID. The citizen immediately challenges the basis of that stop, returning to the alleged turnaround and arguing that no signal was legally required.
That's what that's made for. There's no stop sign there.
There's a stop sign right there.
That's not where I turned around at. I turned around further up.
So you did a U-turn.
I didn't turn around right here.
Oh, all right.
Stop trying to dig, dude. That's not how this is going to work, dude.
Hey, I'm doing what my sergeant says. Here you are, sir.
Do what the Constitution says.
10-4.
Your sergeant ain't going to cover your ass when you get